Morning, beautiful. It's great to see you. Lovely to be out here in the front garden on a beautiful autumn morning. Autumn, fall, whatever you call it. Let me show you what the garden's doing. So, this always strikes me as wrong that these spring flowers sprout in autumn. I expect them to come up in winter, but no, autumn. And look, each leaf has its own drop of dew at the top, which I think is just fabulous. And there's a buttercup there, bright yellow buttercup. Morning, Linda. Good morning, Bruce. It's great to see you both. We have a single rose here with its buds, and it's lovely. You know, flowers are sporadic at this time of the year, but we appreciate them the more because they are. What else have we got? We've got roses that I need to prune. That's about all I can say about that. But the thing is, they actually have to be scruffy for a while. I can't prune them right now. If I do, they'll sprout again before it gets cold, and then the cold will burn the new growth. So they just have to be scruffy. And sometimes life is like that. So here we have the Wilhelm rose, and look, it's got a late sprout that's just coming out. Here's a really fresh one. Wait, there we go. Now you have the focus. It's beautiful. So the Japanese anemones are now all about the seeds. Well, about the seed heads. They don't actually make seeds, which is a godsend, because if they were, if they did, it would be very difficult. Look, they get all fluffy. There we go. Morning, Nora. Lovely to see you, darling. And I'm going to have to prune my Canton lace down because you can see it's turned into a monster. It's the sort of thing, if I walk in here you can see that I cut it. See, the trunk is thick and then chop, and you have to do that because it just keeps going up. So I will have to cut it down, and everybody will be amazed and perhaps horrified. But that's what you have to do in a garden sometimes. And look at the Luculia, it's massive leaves, which I just love. Morning, Heather, it's gorgeous to see you too. Woohoo! Here we all are. Late roses. The rose hips are actually the best part of this time of the year. Come on, give me some focus, camera. There we go. I love rose hips. I leave them on, and they turn red, of course. So, yeah, this is just late autumn in the garden. And we have another buttercup or two in the lawn. They're so bright. There you go. All kinds of things in the lawn that I make an effort to pull out, but you can't do everything. So, here we are, she says, pulling something out. So today, I want to talk about letting go. I want to talk about how challenging it can be, even when you know who you want to be, to let go of who you've been. Oh my goodness. Abigail, good morning, sweetie. And it's surprisingly challenging, right? Because we get so used to who we've been. And when you do let go, when you do actually make a substantial shift, it's like you keep thinking, what's missing? Where is my old self? And yeah, Linda, this was your thought from sometime last week, and I thought, this is good. I got to talk about this. Because we sort of go, it's very easy to be seduced, if you like, by life back into being who we used to be because it's familiar, right? I keep saying that. Yeah, I don't have enough rose hips to make jam. I just like to look at them, but yeah, I know they're really potently full of vitamin C. I just like them in the garden. So, you know, becoming a new self and actually leaving the old self behind is not always, but usually, an incremental process. It's a bit like climbing a mountain, really. You know, you put one foot in front of the other, you keep choosing and choosing and choosing, and then sooner or later, you get to the top of a particular hill, or, you get to a milestone, you think, oh my God, I really have changed. Well, something like that happened last week. Oh yeah, for me, how do I explain this quickly? A situation in my contracting work where there was an interaction with the client which once upon a time I would have felt a lot of fear about. Nothing gone wrong, really, it hadn't. I knew what to expect, I knew what was going on, but I know that once upon a time, in this particular situation, I would have felt a bunch of fear. And I noticed the situation, and I thought, oh, actually I'm not afraid anymore. I could have gone into survival, I could have gone into fear, because that's the familiar way that I used to respond, or react, actually. But instead I thought, actually, no, I don't need to do and be that. I'm going to come from a place of ease and peace and trusting that this is going to work out perfectly. And of course it did, because that was the space I held around it. But I told the story to my husband afterwards, and I said, this is a new me. I really have changed. Hilltop. Maybe not the mountaintop. The point is, when you get to the top of the mountain, you just see another one you got to climb. It doesn't stop. But I really recognised a change in myself, because the same situation came up, which I know, even a couple of months ago, I still would have responded to with fear, I think. Pretty sure about that. The same situation came up and I just didn't behave like my old self. That's when you know you've changed. To create that kind of shift is the many times when you notice that you have reacted. Or the times when you think, oh my God, I could go and be and do and feel like this, but actually I don't want to, and you have to make a really conscious choice. And sometimes you make the choice once and you manage to, jump from one railway track to another railway track and it's fine. And other times it's like your train is constantly jumping from track to track to track. The flip-flop experience that I used to talk a lot about flip-flopping. We flip-flop. We go from our past self to our future self, and often there's an in-betweenness about it as well. Oh my God, who am I being today? Who am I just being right now for the next minute? Oh God, can I sustain that? It can be really, really challenging. So the key thing about this, the thing I wanted to point out, is that we actually miss the old self. Now, why do we do that? Because remember, whoever you used to be has been branded in the architecture of your neurology. Like there's literally neural networks inside your head that fire up when you behave in any certain way, when you think in any certain way, when you feel in any certain way. Neural networks, collections of neurons in your brain that are fired and wired together, they fire and wire together again. And so you have architecture in your brain to represent the self you've been. And when that architecture fires, you get neurotransmitters, which influence neuropeptides, which the emotional brain then sends to the hormonal centres, which pull hormones, and then you have an emotion. And then that chemistry, that emotion, hits your cells, and if you keep doing and doing and doing that, which we all do, good, bad, or indifferent, your cells become accustomed to that chemistry, that environment, and the body becomes normal, and they adapt to it. So, neurologically, biologically, therefore emotionally, because emotions are biology, this chemistry hits you and, whoa, I have an emotion. Epigenetically, because that chemistry influences the epigenetic expression of your cells. Now, what do I mean by that? Quoting Dr. Joe Dispenza, because I love this expression, genes are like Christmas tree lights. They go on and off. And what makes them switch on and switch off is the environment in which they exist. And the environment in which they exist is the internal environment of your body. Yeah, the external environment can have its effects on you, stress, bills, relationships, happy things, sad things, whatever, but ultimately that all impacts the chemistry that's inside your skin, and that instantly, immediately, every moment, and yeah, this is amazing, it's also bloody scary, but it's empowering, that influences the epigenetic expression of your cells. Why do I know that? Because I've experienced it change in a moment, in an instant, from the beginning of one meditation to the other. When I started, I had something. When I finished, I didn't. I know this is real from my own experience, as well as understanding some of the science about it. So, neurologically, biologically, epigenetically, emotionally, energetically, the old self is familiar to you. Now, what do I mean by energetic? I mean that there is a measurable electromagnetic field that you emit. Period. Every matter emits, every kind of matter emits some kind of electromagnetic field. Everything resonates. Everything has frequency. When you have the thought and you when you have the thought and you feel the feeling and you do the thing and you behave like that person, you emit frequency. And so, the frequency goes out and the universe says, okay, I got to endorse who you're being, and you get familiar and used to that as well. All of that has to change. And, the fun part is that it doesn't all necessarily change all at once. And so you start to change your thinking, but your emotions don't catch up with you for a while because, of course, your cells are conditioned to your old emotions. And so when you stop having the thoughts that give them the emotions to which they are used to and, in fact, pretty much addicted, hint, you can actually be addicted to crappy emotions. You can be addicted to life. I'll say that again because I know how loud that is. You can be addicted to crappy emotions and you can be addicted to your crappy life even though you want it to change, and this is why. So you start thinking different thoughts, but your cells are saying, hey, where's my fix of misery? Where's my fix of victimhood? I want it. And your body starts sending things up to your brain. And I have experienced this. I really have. Like recently. My body trying to be the mind of fear, sometimes succeeding, but many times me saying, no, I'm not doing that. That is my old self. I will not go there anymore. And I calm myself down and I do the heart breathing, whatever it is I do. It takes real will to break that biological conditioning. But if you keep firing and wiring different thoughts and you practice different emotions, and believe me, I've had to practice them. I've told you it took me almost a year to really connect with joy for the first time. I had to practice them. It did not come naturally or easily to me. When you start to, however long it takes, to connect with more elevated emotions, when you start to do that, you're going to change the conditioning at that cellular, biological, chemical, hormonal level. That's going to start changing. And when you do that, of course, your resonance, your frequency starts to change, and the universe can bring you different things. The challenge is, of course, that you have to get to know this new self. And you have to get good enough at being and knowing and loving and inhabiting that new self that you get good at staying in that new self right in the middle of your old life. And because that's challenging to say, okay, I have been a victim my entire life because life victimized me, not denying that for a moment. People have very difficult experiences. And it conditions you to be a victim, or it conditions you to be angry, or it conditions you to be sick, or whatever it is. And you're saying to me, Maddie, that I need to get to know myself who is not lackful, who is not in victimhood, who is not in illness, who is not in bitterness, or whatever it is, while all that stuff's going on. Yeah, I do. I never said it was easy, but this is what I've been doing. And I can tell you it is worth the effort. And it is an effort. You have to labour for this. Devon, it's lovely to see you. John, good morning, beautiful man. It doesn't come naturally because of that conditioning. And that's why you miss the old self when you're in the middle of this transition. The old self is the conditioning in your body and those synaptic connections in your brain. Oh, come on, just fire me up again. It feels so good. And I remember, like last week, I remember this so well. My body and brain had been playing me tunes about being afraid all evening. And then something came along to which I reacted more strongly than I normally would, and I felt angry. And I observed this and I thought, gee, that felt good. I thought, oh man, I so understand this. It is a freaking addiction. If my body can't get fear, it will get anger instead. It will do whatever it can to satisfy its addictions. And it tries so hard. And I had to keep facing myself and saying, no, I'm not going there. It's so natural and so normal for me to go into lack and fear and stress and victimhood and everything. Oh my goodness, is it easy? It's less easy than it was because I've changed a great deal in the last few days. It's so fast now, so intense. Sang Marie, it's beautiful to see you, darling. It is challenging because we are so used to being who we are, and because who we are, your personality, which is what you think, how you feel, and what you do, creates your personal reality. That's it. Quoting Joe Dispenza, word for word. He's so right. And I see this, and I also remember very clearly how difficult it was for me to truly embrace that. When I was looking at my life and thinking, but I've got all these reasons, really valid reasons to feel frustrated and angry and fearful and utterly desperate and destitute, and I can't do this and it's not happening. I have so many valid reasons, and you're telling me that by staying in that state of being, I'm making more of it? Bloody hell. I want to feel like that, because if I make enough fuss, if I'm angry, if I'm sad, if I'm upset enough, I might get some help. Slight problem with that. I've been doing it for 40 years and it did not work. It took me so long to realise this, that independent of whatever craziness is going on around me or inside me, I have to be the person that has the life that I desire. And it means, how does Joe say it? The biological, the chemical, the emotional, the hormonal, the energetic death of the old self. And it doesn't go easily, for reasons just discussed. That's the challenge we face, and that's why it is sometimes so hard to let go of the old self, because of all that. Because it's branded in your brain and your biology is adapted to it, and in refusing to surrender one more time to the story that it's impossible because you can't see how it's going to change, to the stress of, oh my God, this is awful, and, refusing to be in that space, it takes enormous will. I had to muster every ounce of will that I could contain sometimes to overcome myself. And sometimes I couldn't. But I just, okay, whatever. I've been in that space for however long, now I got to do something else. It's deeply challenging. It's also really worth it. And in changing me, independent of my circumstances have changed. And they haven't changed in ways that I could predict. They haven't changed in ways that I couldn't make a business plan and say, well, this is going to happen and that's going to happen next and then that's going to... No, it doesn't work like that. When you're creating by becoming who it is you want to be and embodying that and feeling that and thinking that and doing that, when everything around you is saying, this is not bloody happening, you're mad and it's never going to happen, that's 5D creation, and you are, by being it, you're allowing more of it to come to you. But we have to do it independent of time. And that's the challenging part, because, you can achieve that peak state and you think, woohoo, that's cool, here it is, I feel it. And then you open your eyes, or, you walk out of your house or whatever it is you do, and bang, everything's back. And you think, oh, well, that was nice, but it didn't last. That's not the point. It is not the point. How much of that can you remember and practice as you go through your day? And, something else that I've heard Joe say many times, and I never really thought it was possible, when you can maintain that modified state of being your entire day, watch out, because something unusual is going to happen. You're going to start seeing synchronicities and amazing stuff. And, I never could maintain my modified state of being for an entire day. It's like, okay, well, this is a great idea, but yeah, whatever. Something I aspire to. And last week, I think it was, the week before, I actually had that happen. Except I didn't have to maintain it. It maintained itself. Like the whole day, I stayed in that state of being. It was really cool. Now, there was no trumpet in the sky. Nobody gave me $1 million. But the fact that I felt it was like, oh my goodness, this is possible. I can do this. And the synchronicities just keep on arriving. I mean, it's normal for me. And I'm learning to trust the unknown more and more, even when stuff is screaming at me saying, this is a disaster, you have to fix it now. It's like, no, I will not. I will not. So, yeah, I hope I've addressed the question. It takes enormous will. It takes dedication to your future rather than your past. But we can do it. Now, it's Tuesday, which means in about 3.5 hours I'm going to be live again to give everybody an update on what our Sang Marie is doing in the Gambia. It's interesting times over there, folks. It's very interesting times. So if you can join us, it'll be wonderful. If you can't, bless you, regardless. Either way, I will see you then, or I'll see you tomorrow. Big love.